Hey gang, how's it going? Happy Friday to you. It looks like it's just about springtime here. I'm looking out the window, looks like sunshine, pretty excited. It's been a great week here at i3D Themes. Good afternoon, it's Brandon Devonish from i3D Themes with this week's Interactive number 80. Getting close to that 100 mark. Number 80, where we share what we're passionate about and what we've been working on here in the i3D Themes Design and Code Labs. So, kind of a short week here. Both Colin and I took some time off on Monday for different things. Colin was away last weekend in Vancouver for a Rugby Sevens championship. I don't know much about it. He was not participating. No, he was a spectator. But he had a great time. It was a little rough around the edges on Monday. And then he also came down with the flu. So while we had plans to launch the Oxygen website template design this week, best laid plans, as they say, he was in no condition. I don't know when the last time you had the flu, but just dragging yourself through the week can just be an effort. And so he did not get to the help files. He couldn't even remember who he was and how old he was, and it was hard to get through the week. And on top of that, this week, we had probably more project starts and project requests this week than we had all of last month combined. So it's pretty busy. And he's been here answering phones and support and all that kind of stuff. So tip the hat to him for slugging through it. So next week he's going to be working on the help files and then getting the Oxygen website template into the system and then begin work on finishing up the WordPress theme version of Oxygen. So really super excited about that. In the Code Lab this week was, again, a little bit different. Not just because I took Monday off. I took Monday off to hang out with my son. Took him to a workshop. But Tuesday, get this, I've called in reinforcements. Pegasus is catching on, and with that we need to get more help. So I have contracted another developer who is going to be working closely with me on getting Pegasus, the development of Pegasus Accelerator, accelerated, which is awesome. So Adam was in here with me on Tuesday and Thursday, learning the ropes, digging into the code, taking a look at third-party caching plugins. Now, what the thing about caching plugins is Pegasus has caching built in, right? And it's fantastic. Why would you want to use somebody else's plugin? You don't. And what we've said up until this point is you don't need to, so don't even bother. But we understand that some caching plugins have features that maybe some people really want to still use, or maybe they just don't want to disable those plugins. Whatever. So we're making Pegasus compatible with them being installed. We have 6 of the top plugins available through WordPress.org, which constitute about 3 million installs. So we're covering our bases pretty good there. We've got a couple more that are not within that repository that are for different hosting platforms that we're also going to be providing support for. And by support, I mean making sure that Pegasus works with them. And we'll finish that up next week and have that support built into the plugin by the end of next week. Also, I've been working on the performance aspect of website optimization. So we, when we talk about Pegasus, what we do is we change things in the page to make the page load and render faster. And there's a lot of magic that happens. It's all very technical, but we wave a magic wand and go abracadabra, and we affect a whole lot of change to the page. When we first started with Pegasus, it was a plugin specifically geared to get a high page speed score. We knew that if we satisfied Google's imaginary game called Google PageSpeed Insights, and we got a higher score, Google's going to like it more or less. It's going to have a faster load time. What we're now doing with Pegasus in gearing towards version 2.0 is providing metrics to measure the load time before and the load time after, which takes me to an article I read today, and I posted a link probably further down this feed, especially at our Facebook page. It's called, I love the title. It's from Google. It says, How to Think About Speed Tools. So Google's now telling us how to think. Huh? Cheeky, Google. How to think about speed tools. And they go through common myths about performance. It's really a helpful read. And it's really, really important because of this one speed tool down at the bottom of the page. Now, if you go to this link and you scroll right down, they talk about Lighthouse and what Lighthouse is, web page test, test my site, page speed insights. There's all these different tests, and they all provide a different sort of view on website performance optimization. Some are more hardcore than others. Page speed insights is about it's not easy to implement their recommendations, but it's probably one of the more comprehensive for the average website owner, but it's still kind of technical. But the one that I would like you to look at when you have a minute is called the Impact Calculator. Now, if you type in your domain name when you go to this Impact Calculator, you're probably going to come up with nothing. It's got to be unless you're one of our mystery clients that has like 100,000 monthly views, and that may be you. I don't know, but even the i3D theme site, which has a lot of traffic, didn't come up in this. So I'm thinking the top 25,000 websites might come up in this. But if you scroll down to a section called Calculate Potential Revenue Impact, this is gold, okay? For a second here, the load times I'm going to talk about are not bleep. I love it when that happens, those little alerts. The load times I'm going to talk about are not about mobile. Okay, I'm just going to talk about desktop. But when I talk about these desktop load times, think about this. The load time for a 3G data connection is about 3 times as long as a desktop connection. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, depends on what is loading, that sort of thing. And the research out there says that through 2020, 70% of the global cell phone usage will still be on a 3G connection. And now that might change, 70%, 60%, 80%, doesn't really matter. That's still a lot of people. So we need to be benchmarking still for that. And so if I say a web page takes 10 seconds to load on a desktop connection, that means it's going to take 30 seconds on a cell phone. And if you're like me, you click on a link. If you're not seeing anything happening in 3 to 5 seconds, you're out of there. Okay, so this tool that's at the bottom of this Google article, okay, is the Impact Calculator. It can give you an idea of how much revenue you can make by speeding up your website. So you type in your current speed. So you can go to pingdom.com, tools.pingdom.com, or GTmetrix, that's metrics with an X. Go there, punch in your website address, find out what your load time is. Put it into this form. So your load time list, I'm going to just use 10 as a round number. That is a really bad load time score, by the way. You want to be getting it down towards 3 to 4 seconds is really where you should be targeting. If you can get lower than that, then fantastic. But 3 seconds, we'll call that the target. So you enter in 10 seconds, and then you enter in your average monthly visitors. So you should probably have Google Analytics installed on your site. You should probably know you have 10,000 monthly visitors, 20,000, 30,000, 100,000 monthly visitors. You punch that in there, and then you enter in your average order value. So if you make $50 per order, or $100, or $1,000, or $25,000, I don't know if you're selling yachts or homes. It'd be hard to track, but if big ticket items or small ticket items, and then you type in your conversion rate. So if you have 10 sales a month and you have 100 visitors coming to your website, that's a conversion rate of 10%. So 10 divided by 100. If you have 1 sale and 100 visitors, that's 1%. And so you punch that in there, and it magically populates with your potential. So there's a little slider, and you can see if you increase, or I should say decrease your load time of your web page to 3 seconds, how much potential yearly revenue can you increase just by working on your load time. Because this is what happens. Somebody clicks on the link, right? They click on the link to your website. And if it takes too long to even get to the point where it starts to render, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you've been there, right? You clicked on a link and you've gone, is this website even working? If it gets to that point, they back away. That is a visit that never registered with your analytics software. It never happened. It's still called a bounce, but it's not contributed into your analytics software bounce rate. So there's a whole group of people that could be theoretically coming to your website and backing right out because your website's too slow. And that's what this impact calculator is all about. So if you get a chance, take a look at it. It's really fantastic. So, and then not only that, figure on, mobile customers. As that gets, if your mobile load time is 20 or 30 seconds, your mobile people are just backing right out. Now, keep in mind there's different types of, when we talk about load, I'm going to start rambling here just for a short second. There's something called a time to first byte, when that's basically how quickly your server responds. That's called server response time. Server response time is actually how long it takes to get the web page started to deliver, sort of thing. And then there's, at the very other end of the spectrum, the load time of the page. Okay? That's when everything is loaded. But in between there are other things that are happening. There's the time to first meaningful paint. That's when things start, displaying on the page. So on a really a site that is not optimized, doesn't have any render blocking resources deferred, images, CSS not optimized as well, it's going to take 3, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds until that first paint. And that's why people back out. And that's because they haven't seen anything happen. And of course, if it takes forever to get even the first text, the first what they call interaction, where everything you can start clicking on things, that's also when they start backing out, if that takes 15 seconds to load. And that will happen on a mobile browser. So if you've got a really slow connection, 3G connection, and your web page is really too big and it hasn't been optimized, that's where you're going to start losing visitors, and you probably have already noticed this. And that's where that impact calculator tool can really help you give an idea of what the value is in speeding up your website. Anyways, thanks so much for joining me. Hope you've had a fantastic week. Hope your weather has been as good as ours here in Victoria, BC, with the sunshine. It's been, I think we might even see temperatures of 12 degrees Celsius. For you folks in the United States, I think that's somewhere around 55, 56, somewhere in there. That's wonderful weather for us here. And hopefully we'll start seeing the temperatures climb a little bit more. So have a fantastic week. We will talk to you again next week. And of course, we're going to have the Oxygen website template released hopefully sometime around Wednesday or Thursday when we get all those help files finished up. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.